we had a Monday Night Football game that did not suck. It was a good matchup. It was a close matchup. And that's where we lead our radio show together here in a wind tunnel. That would be Orchard Park, New York, a key AFC matchup. Bill Belichick leading the Patriots traveling party into the shores of Lake Erie there. 36 degrees at kickoff. It felt like it was in the mid-20s, so right around 25 degrees, give or take, and got colder as the night went on, and the wind was blowing. It was snow, but it didn't stick to the ground. It was a winter wonderland. Gusts up to 55 miles an hour. And cold, 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 bone-chilling cold. And it's only going to get worse as we get further and further into the calendar. And remember, the NFL regular season does not end now till January 9th. So you get an extra 10 days or so of cold, cold weather. But as far as the Bills and the Patriots, did you watch? I can't assume that you watched. Maybe you were sleeping because you worked the late shift and you missed the game. Don't worry. We watched so you would not have to. Damon Harris rumbling and stumbling for 111 yards on only 10 carries and a touchdown. He got hurt. And then Ramondre Stevenson came in and he added 78 more on the ground as the Patriots led from pillar to post, and they get a 14-10 win in a bad weather game on Monday Night Football. So they continue on as the number one overall seed in the American Football Conference. And let us discuss the question. What are the takeaways from the Patriots using the wind to squeeze past the Bills? So I've got Bronze Age, AWOL, and Sword. And we will combine all of these things together and make a passable Maller monologue. Now, it's pretty obvious that Bill Belichick did some inventory. And he looked around. He checked the weather app, assuming he has a smartphone. We think he does. Or he went on weather.com and looked up the forecast. He then looked at Mac Jones, and he made, at that point, a pivot. He made a calculated decision that he was not going to allow that guy to use the forward pass. He was going to eliminate the forward pass almost altogether. That Mac Jones' deficiencies in throwing the ball in bad weather would be a liability for the Patriots. So rather than even attempt it, let's limit it to one throw for the first 3 quarters of the game and only a couple of extra throws after that. New England was the epitome of a one-dimensional offense. They took the game of football back to the Bronze Age. Had not seen a game like this since 1983. A team had not won like this at the levels the Patriots ran the football and did not attempt to throw the ball since the early 1970s. I'm getting old, and it's before I was even around. The key to winning bad weather games, the formula is well known. It is not a secret. It is not hidden. You don't need to bring in a Rosetta Stone to win a bad weather game. It is a machismo game. It's a toughness game, right? Run the ball, stop the run, and do a good job on special teams. Don't allow any big kick returns to the opposition to give them great field position. Check, check, check. The Patriots checked all 3 boxes. They loaded up the fat guys up front and went with a stable of running backs, more than one. Every man, woman, and child watching this knew the situation. Damon Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, after Harris got hurt, and a couple of other players as well, ran the ball down the throat of the Bills. Defense right there. A defense which statistically was among the very best in the NFL, but New England ended up with 46 carries for 222 yards. That is emasculating for the Buffalo defense, and the Bills had 8 and 9 defenders up front because they knew that the Patriots were going to run the ball, and still the Patriots were able to do enough by taking away the pass from their offense to win a game against what is supposedly a highfalutin defense in Buffalo. Holy cannoli, Mike. If you're the Bills Mafia, you need to call a meeting. You have to call a meeting. How do you lose that game? Now, part B of this, for the Bills, right, to only score 10 points, and it's really worse than that. It's football malpractice, especially considering that 7 of those points were gifted, at least 6 of them, were gifted from the Patriots. N'Keal Harry muffed a punt. It's not the Aussie muffed it, it's the American muffed it. And N'Keal Harry, remember he wanted to trade before the season, and then his agent made a hullabaloo, and people realized nobody really wanted N'Keal Harry. So he's with the Patriots still. And it bounced, and then it bounced a second time off his helmet. And then that handed the Bills the ball at the New England 14-yard line, and that just provided a one-play touchdown pass drive to get points. So that means the other 9 drives that the Bills had in this game, they scored a total of 3 points the rest of the game. And the Bills were able to get the ball down. They were able to move the ball down inside Patriot territory. And the Bills' running game completely vanishing in the wind. They blew away somewhere over the water. They're gone. And so this game was an opportunity for Josh Allen to step up. This way, so, it's too windy. I disagree. Josh Allen went AWOL. He's the guy with the big contract. He's not the rookie. He's the franchise quarterback. And it is his responsibility. Right? Big contract comes with big shoes to fill. Josh Allen got the $258 million contract. Congratulations. I hope you invest in the stock market, a little real estate, maybe a little crypto. You'll do very well. But you play quarterback in Buffalo. Hello! You are judged by how you play in cold, windy, snowy games late in the season, December and January games against the Patriots. You're not playing for a dome team. You're not hanging out on the West Coast where the weather's always great. You're in stinking Buffalo. You're going to have to play well in those games. This was a measuring stick game. Spoiler alert! Josh Allen failed. His numbers overall were even misleading. We mentioned the giveaway, the touchdown, which was a gift from the Patriots, turning the ball over, and N'Keal Harry muffing the punt at the 14-yard line. From the second through the fourth quarter, Josh Allen had bupkis at 121 yards passing, 45% completion percentage. Well, it was the wind. It's the wind. Well, yes, it's the wind, but you've got to get points. You've got to for that offense to really, what I think legitimately only 3 points. Now, they did miss a field goal, but that is unacceptable. Right? The Bills were marching around before the season about how they are among the elites in the NFL, and that what happened in 2020 was not a fluke, that Buffalo is here to stay, that they have marked their territory like a dog. The Bills urinated on their territory, that they're here to stay. Well, they don't look like the kind of team that is here to stay with this kind of performance from Josh Allen as the franchise guy. And bad. I mean, he was able to get the ball inside Patriot territory, but unable to complete the journey. And you start looking around now, and you see the Bills, and they have a 7-5 record. And remember, they began the year losing to Pittsburgh, and now when you look around and look at the resume of the Bills, and they rolled off 4 wins in a row, and they were sitting at 4-1, feeling pretty good about themselves. Since then, it has gone loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. They are the definition of average, the Buffalo Bills. Might I remind you, they also lost to Jacksonville. When you lose to Jacksonville, you can lose to anyone, and they've yet to win a close game. Despite having 7 wins and having played now 12 games, the Bills are the only team in the NFL that have yet to win a close game. That is an indictment on Buffalo also. So they can blow people out. Yeah, they can put up 40-something points against Washington or 45 against the Jets, and they can blow the doors off the Saints, but if you keep it close in the fourth quarter, you're going to win. The Bills are not going to win. That's at least the way it's been so far. All right, last word here. So the Patriots, as the number 1 seed in the AFC, and this win validated that is legit, right? They validated it to win in that environment, to win the way they did. And now, do the Patriots have the fear factor? I was talking to a friend. I was actually texting. I don't talk to anyone other than you when I do the show, but I was texting a friend, and we're going back and forth, and he's a big Patriot guy, and he said, oh, yeah, the Patriots are all the way back. And I'm like, yeah, they're back, but I don't think they're all the way back yet. I'm not at that point. I'm not ready to go to that point. And I'm on Team Belichick. But I look at the Patriots, and I'm like, yeah, the AFC is very packed up. It's like a horse race where you're turning the corner, coming down the stretch, and there's like three or four horses. Hopefully you're not at Santa Anita because 3 or 4 of the horses would die. But the horses are all bunched up side by side, and they're ready to come down the stretch. And so the Patriots right now happen to be a length ahead of the other teams, and they're gaining more accolades and more rat poison by the day. The media will be slobber all over the Patriots for the next couple of days. And nobody is going to want to go into Foxborough in January and play a playoff game. But my devil's advocate argument is this, that Mac Jones throwing 3 times is a double-edged sword. It's great that New England showed grit, gravel, and grime to win that game. But it is unsustainable to say that even at home, going into a playoff game, that formula is going to work. And this is a very windy game. I don't know how many of those games you're going to get in Foxborough. You get a lot of snow, a lot of sleet and whatnot. The wind was the big determining factor in this, but you can't hide the quarterback in every cold weather game. In small doses, yeah, it'll work now and again, but it's not realistic when you play your home games in an ice box. Did Mac Jones, the other question I had, did Mac Jones' Rookie of the Year campaign gain ground or lose ground because of this performance? Did it take a hit? And I say to a certain degree it did, because this fuels the argument that Mac Jones is a passenger and he's not the one driving the bus, that he's more of a bystander and he's not the one that is in charge of everything, and he's more of a byproduct of Bill Belichick. So I think this actually does do damage to Mac Jones. Now, the question is who's going to catch Mac Jones, and that's a tough one. I mean, there's a couple of defensive guys that have put up some big numbers as rookies, but usually we have a huge bias towards offensive players, and Mac Jones is still, I would say, in the lead in that category. And often what happens at the end of the year is people just look at the total body of work and they don't look at specific moments. But I would say if you actually judge Mac Jones just based on this and add it to the resume, you'd say this is not something that you would want to brag about on your resume as a quarterback, that you were good at running back and handing off to the right and the left. Because I think there are many guys who right now have regular jobs that were high school quarterbacks that could probably do the same damn thing.